Is this true? Does Peter's vision in Acts 10 allow the followers of the anointed to eat whatever they like? Let's find out. Let's go to Acts 10, starting at verse 9. Peter's vision. Starting at verse 9, it states, "The next day, as they went on their journey and drew near the city, Peter went up on the housetop to pray, about the 6th hour. Then he became very hungry and wanted to eat, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance," this is the vision, "and saw heaven open up, and an object like a great sheet bound at 4 corners descending to him and let down to the earth." Verse 12, "In it were all kinds of 4-footed animals of the earth, wild beasts, creeping things, and birds of the air. And the voice came to him, saying the following, 'Rise, Peter, kill and eat.' But Peter said, 'No, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything common or unclean.' Verse 15, "And a voice spoke to him again the 2nd time, 'What Elohim has cleansed, you must not call common or unclean.' This was done 3 times, and the object was taken up into heaven again." Verse 17, "Now, while Peter wondered within himself what this vision, which he had seen, meant," let's pause right there at verse 17. Look at what it just said. Because we see that Peter himself was contemplating on what the vision might have meant. Does the vision mean that we can eat anything we like because Elohim had cleansed all animals now? If so, we would clearly read this later in the story, how Peter understood this vision. And I'm sure it will explain what Elohim meant without us having to interpret anything. Let's continue reading. "Behold, the men who had been sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate." Verse 18, "And they called and asked whether Simon, whose surname was Peter, was lodging there." Verse 19, "While Peter thought about the vision, the Spirit said to him," now pause right there because we need to pay close attention to what's being mentioned here. The Spirit is now speaking to Peter. Let's see what the Spirit says now. "Behold, 3 men are seeking you. Arise, therefore, go down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them." So we see the Spirit sent them. Verse 21, "Then Peter went down to the men who had been sent to him from Cornelius and said, 'Yes, I am he whom you seek. For what reason have you come?' And they said, 'Cornelius, the centurion, a just man, one who fears Elohim and has a good reputation among all the nations of the Jews, who's divinely instructed by the holy angel to summon you, Peter, to this house, and to hear words from you.' Then he invited them in and lodged them. On the next day, Peter went away with them, and some brethren from Joppa accompanied him." This is where now Peter is going to end up meeting Cornelius. Verse 24, "And the following day they entered Caesarea. Now Cornelius was waiting for them and had called together his relatives and close friends. As Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet and worshiped him. But Peter lifted him up, saying, 'Stand up. I myself am also a man.' And as he talked with them, he went in and found many who had come together. Then he said to them," okay, hold on now. Hold on a second, viewer. Let's pause right here because now this is the most important part. I don't want the viewer to get lost. Listen to what Peter is about to say. And it says, "You know how unlawful it is for a Jewish man to keep company or go to one of another nation. But Elohim has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean." Now wait a minute. When did Elohim tell Peter not to call any man common or unclean? It's what we read earlier concerning those animals, right? But I thought the whole point of this dream was to tell people he can eat anything he wants because God cleansed it. But that isn't the case, is it? In fact, we read right here in the text that Peter understood his vision to mean that the Gentiles were unclean and that Elohim has cleansed them. For Peter himself says, "Elohim told me not to call any man unclean or common." And it is because God cleansed the Gentiles who accepted him. And the next verse says the following, verse 29, "Therefore I came without objection as soon as I was sent for." So in summation, viewer, you have this vision of unclean animals repeated to him 3 times. Then the Spirit sent Peter 3 Gentiles. It is unlawful for a Jew to eat and keep company with a Gentile who is unclean. However, Peter interprets the dream to mean that he should not call any man unclean because Elohim, according to the words of the Spirit itself, has cleansed them. In other words, Cornelius was cleansed. This vision didn't have anything to do with giving people the right to eat any animals because the dream has a specific message and a meaning. And we heard it, the meaning, right out of the Spirit's and Peter's own mouth.